it's Man United 2, Liverpool 1. Another fucking lackluster performance, Gene, where we were just second best for large parts of the game. Where do we start? For me, I know we've got fucking injury problems, but you can't expect in 2022 in a Liverpool side who was 2 games from completing football last season, one of the best sides in the world. James Milner is still playing for us, and I know we've got injury problems, and it's a long list. But we can't expect James Milner to play Man United away, and I don't want to put it on James Milner. I don't want to blame him, just for the whole fucking game. But the midfield is where you win and lose games. You have to fucking get control on big nights under the lights at Old Trafford. Despite how bad Man United are, the last thingy, but they were fucking set first to the ball every single time. Where do you think it went wrong for us?
I said, look, when I saw the starting lineup, when the lineup came up, and I saw Milner and Henderson in the midfield. How many times last season did we see Milner and Henderson start and we got completely outplayed? We can't control the ball in midfield. That's the bottom line. We don't have no creativity in there. When you don't have creativity, somebody to actually get onto that ball, put his foot on it, and be able to play and make some sort of play. We were lackluster in every single department. Every time we received the ball, we were second best. Every second ball, they were first start, and that's the biggest issue that we had. We were just crap in every single department. And yeah, look, like you mentioned, when you have Milner, look, you can't have Milner playing these type of games and expect somebody like Milner, who's 36, in a big pitch like Old Trafford, to be able to go up and down and play the 8 sort of role from the left hand side. It just doesn't work.
Because if he went forward, he can't receive the ball on the half turn. He hasn't got the mobility, he hasn't got the trickery to create a chance to play a ball down the line or through a little gap. So what does he do? He goes deep and gets looking for the ball. But Bobby was doing that. Bobby was so fucking deep because the onus is on a couple of players every single time. And in this league, whether it's against Man United under pressure and the whole fucking Glazer protest, this and that, but they were fucking brilliant. Let's put that to
we fought it under pressure, Asim. That's the simple truth.
Did. So
they bottled it.
The onus is on a couple of people. The fucking same patterns of play. It's still the same Liverpool, but it's 2-3 seconds fucking a lot fucking later. James Milner is on his ass half the time. If you can't control it, he's fucking doing something else.
Some of his passing today,
it's shocking, absolutely shocking. But for the goal, Trent as fucking, and I'm the first guy to defend Trent, because I believe in this fucking team is our playmaker. If you want him to play make and fucking pull the strings in midfield, you have to sacrifice his defensive play. But there is no fucking defense of his fucking defending on that first goal, because he's flat-footed for once, he's fucking ball watching for secondly, and they want to play that little fucking 1-2 and getting behind us. So why are you fucking flat-footed and ball watching? He switches off far too many times, and I have to fucking call him out now because that was shocking.
I think the writing was on the wall from the start. They missed a chance with Ilanga. Ilanga hit the post just before that. There was a couple of times. Another issue that we had today is there are so many runners from midfield. And when they made that run, they had the run on our defenders. They were getting in, especially in the first 20 minutes. They'd get in every time. And I just found when you've got we just had nobody in the midfield who tracked their runs. Milner was far too forward, and Henderson was on his own at times. Look, Asim, I don't even know where to start with half of these players today, man. Honestly.
But United's plan was, very clear, wasn't it? They sort of flooded the team with decent ball players, and one thing you can say about the United's attack was in transition it was quick. It was down the channels, in behind our defenders, whether it was Rashford, whether it was Bruno pinging those balls down the sides. They were up for it fucking today, but we've got the more quality. We should fucking calm down. How many times did you see Klopp fucking telling his players calm the fucking down? We just got involved in the whole emotion of the night.
Emotionally, this game, we just didn't turn up, Asim. They were up for this game, and honestly, Asim, we bottled under pressure. That is the biggest issue that I have. Is in that time, when the captain, Henderson has to take some sort of responsibility. You're the captain of this side. You have to settle this team down. Our vice captain's on the field as well. You have to settle the team down. They didn't give us anything yet. Why? Because they're crap themselves. When you've got so many crap players in every single department of the field, we just didn't turn up today. And
But do you think we've been found out?
We have been found out.
I know it's only 3 games. And you shouldn't panic. But in this league,
panic. We have to panic.
People work you out. Teams work you out. They have a full pre-season to fucking check what you're doing. And I think it's still the same Liverpool. But like I said, it's far too slow. And you know what we want to do. We want to create that angle to fucking Van Dijk. And Van Dijk, to be honest with you, in terms of defensive, I think it was lackluster. But in terms of his pings, he got a lot of pings out to Trent. But Robbo had a fucking shocker as well. I thought Robbo didn't have that bite. And it's a derby for us. And one player you expect to have that bite and coming onto the ball and fucking being progressive down the channel, whether it's overlaps or underlaps, it's fucking Robbo. But where was he tonight?
We did ask him, in terms of, especially in the first half, name me a triangle. When did you actually see us play football? They were first to every ball. They wanted the ball. Every second ball, they were the first to. Martinez was up the arse of our players. And I've got to give credit to Martinez looked like fucking Van Dijk today. He's been shit for 2 games. He was unbelievable today. It was a perfect game for him.
But we played into their hands, no doubt. Man United have always, even fucking Solskjaer days, when they're sort of backs against the wall, they've got pace in transition. Yeah, they have got that, and we played into that, and because we commit players, we're gonna make play. We're not gonna change for anybody, bar maybe a City. But we would like to take, and I want Liverpool to take the game to Liverpool. We have to have composure on the ball. You have to have fucking quality, and you have to make sure those fucking final, that final ball has to fucking be counted. You have to make it count.
When
it wasn't to be tonight.
When you don't have players, the bottom line is this: when you don't have players who've got the quality and the technical know-how in the midfield to be able to put a foot on the ball, especially in a heated game like this, how are you expected to control a game?
And we're not asking for much, Gene. When was the fucking last time we bought and addressed that midfield issue? We bought, yes, Harvey back from Fulham. We bought, Carvalho from Fulham. But I don't class them as, sort of middle of the park midfielders where we need to have someone, even since Genie left the club, we don't have someone, bar Thiago, who can put his studs on the ball and control the fucking game. And that's what we needed. And look, I don't want to come back and sound like a broken record and come back to James Milner. It's not fair on him. But he's 36, like you said, or 37, and he's been a great servant to the club. But Liverpool shouldn't be relying on the likes of James Milner. 3rd game into the season, regardless of our fucking injury list. It shouldn't be happening.
Another thing I said, United wanted the game more. You could see it from the minute one. They were first to every ball. They wanted it more. We didn't. We were acting like we're the inferior side in this game. They've played 2, lost 2. Okay, yes, we've drawn our 2 games, but we're the better side. We should be going out, chest out, saying we're gonna put a stamp of authority on this game. We didn't do anything like that. Like you said, we played into their hands.
Well, where were we in the game? We went Trent was shocking for the goal.
Hendo was shocking for the second goal. We lost the ball.
It was a shite touch, and that's what it was. But look, we got a consolation in the end. It was a consolation, even though we pressed and we sort of still went for that goal. But lacked quality, and we didn't really get in behind him. We didn't really create a lot of chances. We created moments, but it was just pressure. It was just moments, and that's about it. So Salah, and that's what my point is. You can't rely on, and what they were doing. What's his name? Malacia. And Lautaro Martinez, Lisandro Martinez, Lisandro was doubling up on him, and he was always, because we know our patterns of plays. At times Harvey Elliott had the ball and he could drive into the thingy, but he doesn't have a right foot, and he took a right shot once in the second half, because they know what we want to do. We want to play that ball from Trent into Harvey Elliott out to Salah. Salah gets a chance to run. It was far too predictable, and whatever Salah does is good, but he just wasn't in the game too much, because you can't rely on him just to fucking create something out of nothing every single fucking time.
We don't have anyone in the box, I said. The amount of times United, at least, when United attacked, you actually saw at least 1 or 2 in the box who, they should give the forward players some sort of support. It feels like all our players, they just hug the left and our left hand side. Bobby was far too deep. We never had a person in the box to actually get the ball into the box. Couple of times where we managed to get to the sort of byline. We couldn't be able to play the pass because there was nobody in there. There was probably 1 person in there at times. We lacked in so many different departments today. And we were even Alisson. I see how many times Alisson kicked the ball out incorrectly today. It was all over the shop, man. Honestly,
I think Bobby has been absolutely brilliant for us, and that sort of style where he drops on the halfway line.
The amount of times I gave Nunes crap today during the game.
Yeah, look, that's fucking bit us in the arse, hasn't it? Because when you're chasing the game, you want the big man to come on, and he's a menace in the box, and that we missed a target man. How many times, even though Origi was a bit of a cult hero, didn't play a lot of games for us, but he had that role, didn't he? Where we were chasing the game. Plan B. We didn't have a plan B. And Bobby, how many times did I say to you during the game, how fucking deep was he?
He was collecting from the defenders.
And look, maybe that's just we found wanting now, because it's just a simple, predictable way. And I don't have a problem with that. But you have to have dynamic midfielders. breaking the lines. Because if he beats the fucking press on the halfway line, you need people going the other way. Because he's got the back to goal. But sometimes he was picking it up. Where fucking Fabinho picks it up or Henderson picks it up from the defence. That's how far he had to come to make play. Because we just didn't have the midfielders to have to, make the fucking 2-3 passes. And we didn't, for the first half, I can't remember stringing one move together. It was shocking. But looking ahead now, look, we have to dip into the transfer market and the owners have to take, and I believe Klopp himself had a slight he put subtle pressure. Whether you want to call it obvious or subtle, I think it was a definite change of stance in Jurgen Klopp. Yes, he had that midfield in the start of the season, and in terms of numbers, whether you think in terms of quality, we didn't have enough. But in terms of numbers, he said, we've got enough. So whether
when all fit.
Yeah. But now, we don't have those players fit. And that injury list, the way we fucking play and harass teams, we've run into the ground. Half of these players are fucking knackered.
You saw that in the game. You got James Milner, 36, who's going to be playing more or less every game now because we've got so many injuries. Thiago's out. Fabinho and Fabinho look absolutely shattered, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's why he had to come off, right? And then you've got flipping, what's his name? Hendo Asim, who's not. We're just not good enough there. We have to buy Asim. You know what? I was one of them that said, you know what? I was happy with the midfield at the start of the season. Yes, and yeah, we're not fit. Yes, we can. Keita wasn't even in the squad. What's wrong with him?
Because he's ill. And look, Keita, Ox, they never fucking fit. Keita had his best season last season, but he's never fit to really be an integral part of this team. He's a squad player at best, and that's what he is. And that's why he's still only got a year left on his contract, because even the club don't know what to do with him. Because we've got Milner leaving next season, we've got Ox leaving next season on free. We couldn't even get rid of Ox because he was injured, and we couldn't get 5 to 7 million out for him because he ended up getting injured. So you have to address this issue. If we were in for Chouameni, why didn't we go for another midfielder? Is there not another midfielder that can improve this team?
That is my biggest issue. If you went for Chouameni, there's a reason why you went for him. Why? Because you know that you lack in that department. So why are we not going and sign another midfielder now? Especially when there's so many injuries. Especially when you can't rely on some of these players, that they're always injured. There's no doubt. And some of these players, like you said, were run to the ground. We have to sign a midfielder now. 2 points out of 3 games. And this was supposed to be 7 points minimum from the first 3 games. We're 5 behind City already. And we look so inept in every department. We've got Matip out now before Klopp said he's going to the 4 or 5 weeks. So that's basically we're down to 2, let's say first stars, Gomez and Van Dijk. And an injury to them. And it's back to Nat Phillips again. Nat Phillips, James Milner, they're playing every game, mate.
Exactly. Okay, look, he's wrapping up things. There's still time in the transfer market. Even after all that emotional rant from me and Sheen, there is still time to dip into the market and make some changes. And we've got 2 home games next. And as you know, a couple of weeks in football is a long time. But everything tonight, I'm not even going to ask for the people and the viewers to drop a comment, they can drop a comment, but in terms of asking them for a like and everything is embarrassing tonight. Because everything about tonight was fucking shite. Ta-ra.